How slush funds work. You've heard of them many times, but never sure what they were or how they work. Slush funds. A slush fund sounds dramatic. It sounds like a suitcase full of cash in a basement. But most of the time, it does not look like that. Most of the time, it looks boring. It looks like an invoice, a consulting agreement, a nonprofit grant, a political committee, a vendor contract, a community outreach program, a public education campaign. And that is exactly why it works. A slush fund is basically a pool of money controlled by insiders with weak accountability, vague purpose, or hidden intent. The money may begin legally, it may come from donors, corporations, unions, nonprofits, government grants, campaign committees, or wealthy supporters. But once it enters the machine, the purpose can become blurry, and blurry is where the game begins. Here's the basic loop. Money comes in under a respectable label. Maybe it is for advocacy, maybe it is for public awareness, maybe it is for community development, maybe it is for voter education. Then that money gets routed to people inside the network: consultants, media firms, lawyers, event planners, strategists, friendly nonprofits, political vendors, sometimes relatives, sometimes former staffers, sometimes companies that barely seem to exist. On paper, it all has names: outreach, messaging, research, administrative services, strategic consulting. But the real purpose may be simpler: reward allies, keep people loyal, move money quietly, build influence, and make sure everyone in the circle gets fed. The trick is that slush funds often hide inside legal structures. A PAC can be legal, a nonprofit can be legal, a foundation can be legal, a government grant can be legal, a consulting contract can be legal. But corruption does not always announce itself by using illegal-looking tools. Sometimes corruption uses perfectly normal tools in a dishonest way. That is the important part. The shell can be legal, the behavior inside it can still be rotten. In politics, the pattern can look like this. A group raises money. That group supports a candidate. The candidate wins, then the group gets access, meetings, policy influence, favorable language in bills, special carve-outs, funding streams, contracts, protection from oversight. Nobody has to say, "I am buying your vote." That would be too obvious. Instead, they say, "We support leaders who understand our values. We are investing in the future. We need partners in government. We want a seat at the table." And sometimes that seat at the table becomes the whole table. The darker version is the kickback. That is when someone helps direct money one way, and then some benefit comes back to them. But again, it usually does not look like a cash envelope. It can look like a no-show job, a fake consulting contract, a donation to a friendly nonprofit, a speaking fee, a contract for a relative, a subcontract to a political ally, a campaign donation later, a job after leaving office, a real estate favor, a luxury trip described as official business. The paperwork may say services rendered, but the real message is, "You helped us, now we help you." This is where the public gets squeezed, because the average voter is not in the room. The average voter does not have a PAC. The average voter does not hire lobbyists. The average voter does not have a nonprofit, a legal team, a media buyer, and a consultant network. So when slush funds and influence networks take over, public policy can stop reflecting the public will. It starts reflecting organized power. Who funded the machine? Who protected the machine? Who benefits from the machine? And who gets punished if the machine is exposed? The hardest part is that not all of this is illegal. Some of it is legal, some of it is gray, some of it is unethical, but technically allowed. And some of it crosses the line into bribery, fraud, campaign finance violations, or public corruption. But the moral problem starts earlier than the criminal case. The moral problem starts when public service becomes private arrangement. When money buys access, access shapes policy, policy creates profit, profit funds more influence, and the cycle repeats. So when people talk about slush funds, do not picture only a secret bag of money. Picture a network, a loop, a machine. Money goes in with a noble label. It moves through trusted names. It comes out as power, loyalty, contracts, influence, protection, or silence. And by the time anyone asks where the money went, the answer is buried under paperwork. That is how a slush fund survives. Not by looking criminal, but by looking official.